Good morning, fellow fluff chuckers. This is George with Custom Tied Flies and Guide Service. And today, boys and girls, we are going to learn how to spin some deer hair. There's a lot of applications for this. Making muddler minnows and deer hair poppers, and there are just so many different applications for spinning deer hair. So here's one example. This is Andino Deceiver tied on a Mustad 6/0 3407 saltwater hook. And you see the whole head is spun deer hair. So without further ado, we're just gonna tie in behind where we want to spin and make our whatever body we're making. So you want to make sure that you leave bare hook so that the deer hair will freely move around the shank of the hook. So start off, I like to use deer body hair. This is Nature's Spirit deer body hair. And it's dyed red. Just using this as an example. You want to use a heavy thread. This is Danville. Let me see if I can roll that out so you can see it a little better. Danville Flymaster in a 210 denier, which is equivalent to a 3/0. You want to use heavy thread because you're going to pull on it. There are some folks that like Kevlar thread for this. I used to use Kevlar thread many years ago, but after a while you get to a point where you can feel and you get the thread tight, but not so tight it breaks. But still, every now and again you get a weak spot in the thread and it'll break. So to start off, you get a clump of deer hair about the size of a pencil. I like to use spring-loaded scissors when I'm working with deer hair. And I also wear this apron when I'm working with deer hair because, like you just saw, I put the hawk against my chest, and it well, it'll stain your shirt or whatever. So my kids made this for me for Father's Day when well, let me see. Yeah, see, my youngest was 3 at the time, so I've had this a little while. And of course my oldest was 7. Anyway, so lay your clump of deer hair. You got a little pinch, and you just lay it on top of the hook. Then you take 2 wraps of thread, and then you pull on it and you let it go around the hook. You see it flares out, and you take 2 more to secure it. All right, now I use a brass packer. There are plastic packers. You can use a pen if you take the inkwell out of a Bic pen. I used to use that many years ago. But just put your packer on the shank in front of where you're going to pack your deer hair. Take 2 wraps in front of it, and then just like washing your hair, lather, rinse, repeat. So again, I put this against my belly or my chest. Get a nice little hunk. Snip it. Lay it on top of the hook. Take 2 wraps. And then you can just kind of use your finger to coax it so it'll spin. And you just keep pulling on it till it gets tight. Then push it back against itself. Give it a pack. Make sure you pull those fibers back. Give it a couple of turns of thread. Come back and get another hunk. One of the other nice things I like about the deer belly, it doesn't seem to have the under fur that body hair has, because it of course, if you're tying something that sinks, I'm not really so much worried about the belly hair, or excuse me, about the under fur, but you do get a little itty bitty bit sometimes. So if you like, you can use a knit comb. All right, you can get that. I got that on Amazon. Here's another one. I got this, I think it's CVS. It was like $3. But you can take this and yep. Not a lot under fur there. Maybe some. If you're making a deer hair popper where you want it to float, that's a little more critical that you get the under fur out, because the under fur will suck water like a sponge. So the other thing about deer hair, when you're working with it, it does tend to get everywhere. So you might get, it'll fall down on your bench, and you get it on your face. I mean, it's like hair, any other kind of hair. It gets on your face and it itches. So once you get it up to the eye, I made these out of cardboard. Excuse me. Got this little thingamabob. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's just like a guard, and you just slip that over the eye like that, and then that lets you get a good tie off. There we go. Oop. And then get you a whip finish. So I like this this spinning whip finisher. This is a Griffin. See, the tube turns, so it makes it a little easier to work with, I think. Then get your scissors in underneath the thread and pull the thread down against the blade, and it cuts right off. And then you, of course, get a little drop of head cement. Doesn't take a lot. Just get in there, put you a little bit on. All right, now comes the fun part. That's trimming. So, like I said before, I like to use the spring-loaded scissors. I think it makes it a little easier. So, say you're going to do a round head. Put your finger up behind the fur, and then however tall you want the head, you want to trim into a square. All right, and then you just kind of sculpt. So you get everything off that doesn't look like the head you want. Of course, you don't want your head to be any bigger than the gap. You see how here's your gap right here, right? Well, my head's bigger than my gap. So I know I'm going to have to trim that down. I'll do that after I get the general shape that I'm looking for. All right, so I know I'm going to have to trim this down. Now, there are some people that swear by using a razor blade. You can. There's a couple of different types of razor blades that you can use. There's this kind, like would be in a scraper. You get that. You can get this, or like would go in a safety razor. Right? You can get them at Walmart. They don't cost that much. So if you're going to use a razor blade, you have to push against the back of the hair, and then just use a slicing motion. All right, now the thing I like about the thinner, you can bend them, and that'll help you get a shape. Although, to be honest with you, I don't use blades. I like scissors. I used to use blades a long time ago, but I just feel like I got more control and a better shape using scissors. All right, so now I got that. It's a lot easier to to get a good trim if you have a rotary vise, but of course it's not required. I like my Peak rotary. I think I gave $150 for it, I think. I don't remember. And sometimes you got to take it out of the vise. You just kind of look at it square on. And just so that you can see what I'm doing here, I'm gonna put a nose on this one. I'll tell you who does a really good job with deer hair. He does packing and stacking. This guy named Jackson. I don't remember his first name, but he's got all kind of YouTube videos about packing and stacking. And I mean, he just really does a good job sculpting. He's way better than me. But I think if you were to Google Jackson and deer hair, or Jackson and spinning deer hair, he'd probably come up, I would think. There's another method, excuse me, using steam, which I thought was really neat. One day I saw the guy doing that at a fly show. He just he had a like a travel steamer that you would use to get the wrinkles out of a suit or something, and when you're on the road somewhere. You just fill it up with water, and then you turn it on and it makes steam. And what happens then, of course, the steam gets in the hair and flares the hair out real nice. I used to do that. And then I started getting into production, and I just had to come up with a faster way. So I don't use the steamer anymore because it's just an extra time-consuming step that I kind of had to get rid of in order to keep my production up. So there's a nice round nose, and then you want to continue that shape up to the rest of the body. Just like Michelangelo, man, you gotta trim away what doesn't look like what you're trying to accomplish. Now, of course, remember, this part of the hook is going to be, dressed with, whatever, feathers or hair or, peacock hair. There's all kind of different stuff. This is just the head part. So, and you want to keep the head, excuse me, you want to keep the head in proportion with the fly that you're trying to make. I mean, you don't want this giant head and little tiny hook. That's why it's important that you keep the hair, the head smaller than the gap, because you don't want the fish to go trying to grab a hold of the back of the hook and it runs into hair and you can't get a hold of it. All right. So, it's a little big, but you get the point. There's a spun deer hair head. So if you have any questions or comments or what have you, my name is George. I'm with Custom Tied Flies and Guide Service. We have the Custom Tied Virtual Fly Shop, and you can find that on Facebook at Custom Tyer, CUSTOMTYER 02. And then you'll see the Custom Tied Virtual Fly Shop there. This video was also available on my company's website. It's www.custom-tied, com. Have a splash. Don't forget the dash. Excuse me. So this is, like I said, George with Custom Tied Flies and Guide Service. Happy tying.